everyone wants economic growth, and certainly for politicians, the optimal result that they can really only dream about is when you have high economic growth, full employment, stability, no crises, no inflation. That's sort of the nirvana for any government, and of course the population. Everyone would love that. So why aren't we getting it? My work shows that this is possible. We can achieve this. But the trouble is the monetary system hasn't been used properly to achieve that. Now, that may be various reasons, institutional, structural, partly maybe intentional. There may be other goals. Maybe some people don't actually want to achieve that. But the point is, if we have the right monetary system, we can achieve it. There's no reason why we shouldn't achieve it. Also, perhaps just briefly mentioning, because nowadays some people are slightly averse to hearing about economic growth. We have a movement there saying, oh no, we should have zero growth, we should have degrowth because it's bad for the environment. That's a big misunderstanding, because economic growth is not actually a physical sort of thing that you can measure in terms of laws of physics and thermodynamics. It's a statistical concept. And statistical concepts don't harm the environment, believe me. It is harmful activities and pollution and destruction of the environment that harms the environment, and that you can have at zero growth, at negative growth. In fact, my contention is when you have no growth and when you have negative growth, the pressures in society, because the social constructs we've created are such that when this happens, there's unemployment, there's no prosperity. The pressures are on. Nobody's going to care about the environment. We've already seen it recently. Everyone going back now to coal-powered energy and things like that. Why? Well, because they're not getting the sequence right. You need high growth, which is sustainable and environmentally friendly, and that can easily be done, in order to afford looking after the environment and also making sure that you can look after everyone. So growth is not the enemy of the environment. It's actually an ally. And so, just to make clear first, growth and prosperity is a good thing. So how can we achieve it? Well, we need the right monetary system. And the principles are very, very simple. Growth means, and as I said, it's a statistical concept. It means we have, national income accounting. We have more transactions this year than last year. And in our current system, this is only possible if banks have created more money for transactions this year than last year. So you need money creation. Growth means money creation. Without money creation, you won't have growth. That, by the way, is another reason why when they talk about, let's get rid of banks, let's just have one centralized, controlled digital currency without banks, you won't have money creation. You won't have economic growth, and that's the end of prosperity. And maybe that's why some people want to talk about zero growth as some kind of environmental justification, because if we centralize the system so much, then that's what we're going to get, zero growth. So we don't want that. That's a disaster. So how can we get this high and sustainable growth? Well, we need money creation. How should the money be created? Well, the Soviet Union had an answer to that. The central planners love it when they can do the central planning and the centralized money creation. In the Soviet Union, there was only one bank, certainly throughout certain time periods, one bank, Gosbank, and it was the only one that created money and allocated the resources. Now, the Soviet system, I think we all agree, was not very successful. And a key example here is China. When the Chinese leadership changed and Deng Xiaoping came to power in 1978, he decided the Soviet centralized system is not good enough, it's not delivering. Neighboring country, Japan, was doing extremely well. He went over there, he looked at it, and, well, he found out. He was told by the Japanese. They're always very honest. They tell you the truth, particularly after hours in the evening with a bit of sake. You will hear the full truth. It's off the record, but you will hear it. So that's how I think he found out. He needs banks. So he went back and he created thousands of banks, community banks, local banks, savings banks, regional banks. And they lend for productive business investment. And then you get growth without inflation. And so that is a very important way to get growth and prosperity to set up small local community banks if they have the right incentive structure. And the best is when they're regionally restricted to only lend in their area. You know, in Spain, where they also had a good decentralized banking system, under EU pressure, they had to abolish all the rules there. And then they forced the many small local savings banks to compete against each other in far-flung places, and they started lending for property in places, 600 kilometers away or more. They had no clue about it. And of course, what you get is excess bank credit, not for productive purposes. You get speculation, and in the end, they went bust. So the regional principle is very important. So if you have community banks regionally restricted lending to their local area, you get local money creation. You can ensure that it's accountable to local people, that it's productive and not wasteful. Then you get your high growth. So that's one avenue that I'm strongly recommending.